bonjour. I'm Cecile Akiwenzie-Martin from Turtle Clan, originally from Neyaashiinigmiing, and I've married into Ojibway tradition, and I've been on the Six Nations residence now for about 20 years. I'm a mother, a Nokomis, a lodge keeper, a sundancer, Aboriginal Midwife, RPN, a Reflexologist, Aromatherapist, artist, entrepreneur, and I'm excited to be here as well. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So we just want to do a little brief intro to FOPT. So we are an Indigenous-led national nonprofit organization that seeks to support Indigenous children, youth, and communities across Canada to access resources that enable them to thrive. So a couple of things that we do are individualized mental health coaching, group psychoeducation programs and activities, cultural ceremonies and events, youth capacity building and leadership. We have a research team, and we do a lot of mental health training and community-based programs and interventions. So a little bit of a brief on our Circle of Wisdom. So this is a series of teachings by respected Indigenous knowledge carriers that aim to support community healing, cultural connection, and personal growth. The Circle is open to the entire Indigenous community. So each gathering is designed to provide cultural teachings and a sharing and networking circle. So in order to benefit from the Circle, we encourage you to commit to the journey and engage authentically and respectfully. And just to give a brief introduction to Cecile, she's an Ojibway First Nation woman now residing in Six Nations. So she's a lodge keeper with over 20 years of experience. She's a mother, Nokomis, lodge conductor, sundancer, Aboriginal midwife, and healer. Yeah, you can.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. This is different for me. Speaking to, a camera is it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Welcome to February. And February's always full of snow. It doesn't matter how the season's going for your winter. February's always got the snow. So this month, we refer to this month as the Snow Bear Month. And the wolf is the animal totem for this month. And the wolf represents renewal, sensitivity. They are cautious. They need a pack and a community, and they are very loyal. So this month, honor the wolf that's in your life. And the elements around the February moon are going to be feelings, a lot of empathy. Stability and balance is the goal. We've been all in hibernation for the last couple of months, and we're not, we're kind of wanting to get out and hoping for spring. And the clan for this month is the frog, being sympathetic and supportive. The direction is the north wind for purity and cleansing, for the experience and knowledge, for anticipation and premonition. The plant medicine that's really this month used is sweetgrass. And just to talk a little bit more about what the full moon ceremony is, well, when we come together on the land, a lot of teachings. We sit around the fire and we have a lot of teachings, and we'll go into the lodge and sing a lot of songs, but I really wanted to get to some of the teachings without the full ceremony tonight. So one of the things when you come to lodge is the skirt. We ask the women to show up in their skirts once we start the ceremony, and the skirt has always been a symbol of womanhood, and the skirt is a circle above, okay, and then you have your circle below, which is your hem, and everything that is in between is a realm, okay. The shape of a family's home, the teepee, it's the shape of the shake tent, and it's the veil of vision lifted to reveal the universe of creation. So underneath our skirts, you know, in that area, in between the hem and in between your waistline, that area there is very sacred. Okay? And the bottom of your skirt really is supposed to be long enough to touch Earth Mother and all her medicines. And the feminine has long been associated with skirt wearing in Native American culture, along with the gift of creation. Okay? And men also are seen wearing sundance skirts. And that's in regard to their association with the feminine, because they have mothers, they have grandmothers, and they have wives who are going to give birth to their children. And so in recognition of their feminine association, they wear skirts. And with the premonition that the Creator is going to have mercy on them at the Sundance when they're doing their rounds. And hopefully the Creator gives them mercy, right? And the skirt has changed dimensions as girls change and right into womanhood. So a fanned out skirt, you know, to accommodate, say, moon time and childbearing. And, you know, maybe a smaller, tighter skirt for the girls who like to run. But anyways, the skirt changed dimensions as girls, you know, grew up and went through different rites. And so talking about that rite of ceremony and the skirt, we get into basically what is the Moon Lodge, okay? And women routinely withdrew from their regular duties of childcare and food preparation to retreat to a lodge during their bleeding in order to rest and receive dream guidance from the Creator. So when our communities were closer and our women would all come on their moon time together at the same time and be very in synchronous with each other. And even today, you know, when women work together or in your families, you know, someone comes on their moon time and it can trigger all the other women in their household to come on to their moon time. And so a long time ago in communities, women came on their moon time all at the same time. The community would sort of be already left and already used to the women going off and doing these things, okay? So women went in the Moon Lodge, that's their time to receive dream, that's the time when they're being catered to as well. And when you were done your moon time, then you would go back to your dwelling, okay, to your fire, and you would share with your family or your male partner maybe what it was that you seen, what you envisioned, what you dreamt about. And then the men would assemble together, okay? And based on what the women seen, what the vision was, and how many women had the same thing, had the same vision, the men would act on that, okay? So because women have practiced this, their intuition would be very heightened, and it was really looked at as a way of guiding the community. So the men were the ones that made the decisions based on their women's visions, okay? Today, because, you know, we're not able to always go out and do those things in the bush, there's still other ways that you can still make like an offering, okay? And I was taught to use the raspberry. And the raspberry is the closest color that represents the sacred flow of a woman. That's a sacred covenant that is bestowed upon women from the Creator, okay? So the potential to create, came from the Creator, okay? And that's only bestowed on the women. The men have a part of it, but the women have the full functioning potential, okay? So that's a very sacred thing that the Creator gave the women, all right? Is that his potential to create. All right, so long ago, grandmothers took their granddaughters, nieces into the bush for ceremony at their first flow in order to give back to Mother Earth. So the raspberry, when we're doing some ceremony, and we can get a little bit more talking about that process, the raspberry is used as a sacrificial gift, as if your blood would be on the ground, but it's not, it's the raspberries. And the reason we use the raspberry is because of the way that it's formed. It has sacred geometry, okay? And it's actually the shape of what a baby looks like when it's in the first 3 days of fertilization. It's called a blastocyst. So normally I would have a raspberry, and I would show you, the difference between, the raspberry and what a fertilized egg looks like, and you would see the very similar things, okay? And you would get your teachings about the contraception and the fertilizing and how that happens, your sexual reproductive teachings, okay? So the other thing about the raspberry is that it's the number one medicine that you should be drinking all through the time that you start your menses, all the way up to even post-menopause, okay? Because it has high in iron, and when you have your menses 1 month, you become very low in your iron, right? If you don't build that iron level back up the next month, you're depleting yourself again. And if you don't build that up, then you're depleting, and you could become anemic, and that's very, very common, right? And that's not really a way to start off a pregnancy, to be very so low in your iron. So one of the traditional medicines that we do recommend is drinking a lot of raspberry leaf tea. It's very safe. It increases fertility, it builds your iron, it makes a hostile environment for other bacteria and things down there to grow, okay? It increases your milk supply when you do become pregnant. So it's one of those all-round women's medicine that should be starting as soon as you start your period, okay? And the full moon itself, everybody knows that the moon has an effect on the water, right? The ocean tides, ebb and flow. But that's on a macro scale. On the micro scale, those same waves, ebb and flow, happen in your body, which is 80% water. So it has an effect on our bodies as well, every cell, okay? And I just want to say that 1.5% of water is absorbed through your skin. And that's important to know, because when you get dehydrated, it's good to get in the bath and get some of that coming through, in a nice warm bath. But you drink lots of tea, raspberry leaf tea, keep your waters up. So the water element has several states, has the 3 states. It has the state from a gas cloud to a liquid rain to solid ice, and therefore this state has the highest surface temperature of all the elements on Earth, okay? And water is alive. Its purpose is to record and store information about the history of its relationship within the world, and the humans have had a huge impact on that information, okay? So our bodies are mostly water, right down to our cells, and you are connected on a cellular level to all the waters and everything that requires water for life, which is everything. That's why we're connected to everything. It has to do with the water that's in everything required for life, okay? That's our connection. And because the water is about communication, that's why you can communicate with other life. Like you were saying, today earlier, when you want to sometimes have a moment out in nature, okay? You're not really talking to yourself. You are making a connection to every other living force that's around you, okay? We can change the imprint that water has, and we know that through pollution and stuff of the water, that it's not a positive effect, okay? And with the water ceremonies and putting out the good intentions to the water is the same thing you should be doing to your body, okay? It's the same thing, because the same prayer, that same intention, that same intent that you when you're praying on the water, that's going to be also going to be for yourself, okay? So you might be like, praying for this, this water, for like whatever impurities, if it came in from a plastic bottle, for it to be gone and everything too. But while you're saying that and while you're having that intention, that same thing is happening to your own water within yourself. Okay, so that's pretty powerful because we tend to like do a lot of things outside ourselves, right? And then take it in, but it's happening at the same time. So intention is how we can change the imprint, you know, that water has, and therefore also in our own bodies. A lot of songs, prayers of intent. We do sing a lot of songs at the Moon Lodge. We start out with a lot of the teachings by the fire, and then when we're done, we go into Sweat Lodge and we sing a lot of songs, okay? And it's usually appreciation and love. That's the number one thing, the number two things, you know, appreciation and love. Always in, you know, your prayers for anybody, those are the two main things. Love and thankfulness. That's all you need to remember. You don't have to have like, you know, a whole set of long words or huge thoughts. It always just comes to some simple things like just love and being thankful. Okay? So when you do that to the water, when you have that appreciation and love and you have that intention for the water and for yourself, your electromagnetic field becomes brighter and more active. And that sets up more positive energy, okay, that aura that they talk about, okay? And it's also just like a better feeling, all right? A better feeling for yourself. Our drinking vessels, okay, plumbing used to be silver and copper, but today cheap metal, plastics is the method that our water is reaching us, and it causes the water to degrade. Because the water actually is alive and doesn't like to be just 90 degrees, you know, it's traumatic for the water. The water actually has a natural way of flowing, and it's like the Métis sign, that never-ending flow is like this, the figure 8. That's the way the water likes to flow, and they're trying to, and when water flows, it stays clean, but when it's still, it's not. It's stagnant, it's not good. And the same thing in your body, okay? Trying to keep that flow going, okay, in your body, it's the same thing, all right? We want to keep the waters flowing. So the water and its effect is not, you're not alone. It's everything. It's, you know, all of nature is being affected by the full moon. In every different way, okay? So we're not any different than a tree, a blade of grass, you know, some of the animals around us, okay? It's all having an effect. It's all having its effect on life forces, all inhabitants, plant, human, animal, all right? So when we do talk about the Moon Lodge, and some people might get confused with the strawberry fast. The strawberry is represented in a lot of our sexual reproductive health teachings, okay? And so the strawberry fast is something that we try to get our girls who just start their period doing as well, because instead of being able to go on the land and being able to do that, this is another way that you can set some intention. And what happens is every month at the first of your menstruation, if you put out raspberries on like an altar or a place where you reflect, okay, where you smudge, whatever, and you put out your skirts, and tobacco, whatever offerings, but mainly the strawberries are put out during your first mens at the beginning. And you're not to touch them, you're not to eat them, okay? And when you're done your period, you put them on the land. And the reason for that is because, and you're going to do that for a year, okay? And the reason you do that is because the fasting from the strawberry for that year, and the temptation of it being in front of you, okay, while you're on your period, is really helping you with self-discipline. It's helping you with the self-discipline so that when you are met with decisions, that you'll be able to take the time to contemplate, okay? And it's also because it's helping you so that when you come into temptation as well, that you will be able to resist the temptation. So the temptation to eat that strawberry in front of you, when you've practiced that for a year, when you come across a temptation in life, maybe to engage in intercourse, you're going to be able to take more time to contemplate, okay, that decision. And it's not going to be that easy to make either, because you've taken that time and you've had that practice, okay, of resisting temptation. So that's where the strawberry fast comes in, okay? Have you heard of the strawberry fast before? Yeah, okay. And so it's about abstaining from sex. That's really where it comes in. It's the teaching about, how to abstain from sex until you're ready, until your fruit is ripe. Because women, we don't want to really get pregnant when we first start our period. You need some practice, even having your period before, and having all your teachings and things before you get pregnant, right? And making sure you're doing the medicines and your iron is good, right, before you get pregnant. So some of the things that I did as an offering when I couldn't get out to the bush all the time was, if I was on my period, I collected my tampons and my pads and things in a special jar that was under my, and everybody knew it was my jar. Don't touch it. Don't go in there. It's mom's thing, right? Okay. And then when I was done, when I had the time, I would take it out to the bush, dig a hole, bury it, burn it, okay, and have my intentions, right? So those are some of the things that I did to help me feel like connected and feel like I was still, doing something with intent, okay? And then when you've done that for a year and you have your fast is broken, usually with a lot of strawberries and strawberry drink, and you're given a new skirt, there's like songs that you come out with after that year. And after that year, you're considered a woman. So it's like a rite of passage, okay? So yeah, the not eating of berries for 1 year, and offering is the temptation faced when the urge to sex arises. So it's about staying strong in your mind, overcoming the physical. And when you do have temptation, or when you're always left with a decision that you need to make, prayer tie. So that's another thing, is when you're being tempted and you're like, oh, I want to eat my strawberries, you take a prayer tie and you ask for the patience, you ask for, you just take that time, and that intent in your prayer tie, and you can take that also and burn that and put it out as an offering with your strawberries when you're done. Yeah, and when you're on your periods, if you can take that time to spend by yourself I know we live busy lives, but that time to just have by yourself a little bit of time, that little bit of reflection, even before you go to sleep, to just take that time, for yourself, to have even set an intention when you go to sleep, because you can wake up in the morning and have like all the answers, and it's just about what you're putting your mind to even when you go to sleep, okay? So there's a lot about the strawberry fast, and the other things we talk about at the Moon Lodge is about your diet. We have a feast at the Moon Lodge, and we do a lot of corn products, and we ask people to bring their own dish. And it's just honoring that sustenance that was given to us from the Creator. Corn being a main food staple, eaten at every meal, dried, preserved. Squeezing the juice from the ripened seed for drink. If a newborn child, the mother passed during childbirth, that's what the newborn was given, was the juice from the corn. And the pulp provides basis for soups, breads, dried hominy corn soaked in hardwood ashes and ground into cornmeal for breads. All parts of the corn were used, husked, braid, woven into baskets, sleeping masks, mats, dolls, and even the cob was burned for fuel, made into rattles and pipes. And that is one of the things I noticed across, Turtle Island and South America, is that we have a corn is one of those things that bring us together, that we have in common across the United States and South America and Canada is that we all eat corn. Some of it is not, some of it is yellow corn, but the white corn is the traditional corn. Yeah. And then there's ceremonies that we have to renew the fertility of the land. We have a lot of green corn ceremonies and Six Nations and ripe corn ceremonies, but I know that they're very common also as well for people who have those corn ceremonies down in South America. They wear the husks in their headdresses, and on their skirts are made from all the corn husks and everything. And that's just, ask for, the harvest season and for the growing season to be well, right? Women plant the seeds who have the ability to bring forth life. So that's another, planting seeds. It's pretty natural that, that's another thing that would become for women to do and for it to be, fruitful. To have the women doing that part. And we do a lot of iron and calcium in the. Is there any questions? Do we have any questions so far? No. Do you want a question and answer period from anybody? Online?
If anybody online has any questions, you can open up the circle.
Oh, I see some other.
Oh, that's the cursor.
Oh, is it?
Oh, someone messaged.
I signed for corn husk doll making to Inspire. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, corn husk doll making. Cool.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, some of the teachings around the full moon are about how to live well and how to live in harmony with creation. And I wonder if you can share a little bit about how your advice for how to live well in that way.
Okay. Well, every full moon has a significance. And you can reflect on that from the month to month, right? And so everybody at the time of their birth is born with 7 totems, animal totems. You're born with 7 medicines, okay, and minerals and things that will help you on your journey, okay? And so every month there's like dominant animals, okay? If you are, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second here. So for every month, you can research the animals, and it's interesting to know because you have 7 animals in your DNA. Your DNA, there's only a couple of things that are called alleles in your DNA that make you human. And the rest of it, you would look like a plant, or you would look like an animal, or you would be a mineral, okay? That's already all in your DNA. There's only a couple of things that said, besides being this stone, besides being this animal, and besides being this plant, you're human. So that's in everybody's DNA. You have 7 animal totems, you have 7 minerals, so when you get into practicing every month and researching, those things every month, you'll find things about yourself, especially if that's your month of your birth, okay? So the animals, when you research the animals and their habits and the connection, you'll see the connection with yourself. You'll be like, I'm like that. I do that. And it just is another way to know yourself, okay? Because like I said, we're connected to everything, but you are very specifically have 7 animal totems that when you go and you find out and you research, their habits, you learn a lot about yourself, okay? Same thing with the plants, okay? When you learn what your plant totems are and what you work best with, and you know that partly from the month you're born and partly just from practicing every month and working with the plants and working with these different things, you'll know what works for you, okay? But just know that there's the potential there, right, of the 7 animals that can teach you something, the 7 plants that can teach you something, and the minerals, okay? That's like, I think, the periodic table. Now, that's all very, like, sounds very scientific and things, right? But it really came down to just, like, a long time ago, elders and knowing, you know, when children were being born at this time, that they were going to have these kind of characteristics and they were going to be better for this sort of thing, okay? Today, you know, it's way much more complicated because there's way more people and I'm not the observer of everybody, so it's like everybody has to take their own responsibility to, you know, observe those things in their life. You know, if animals are showing up all the time, if people are always giving you, you know, things, always the same things, if the plants that you're working with, some die, some you do better with, okay? You got to really take a look at those things and what that medicine is in that plant for you, okay? For you to work with, all right? Does that answer your question?
You know I know the answer. I'm trying to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of the ways to find out more of those details, I suppose, is to, like, you could have one-on-ones with me and we could go and talk a little bit more about you specifically and your birth and the time that you're born. The more information you know, the better, okay? You know, if you know your weight, the time you were born, stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very interesting journey when you find those things out about yourself, and you can appreciate a lot more. Obviously, you're learning about nature, you're learning about animals and plants and things too at the same time, right? Yeah. More questions?
Could you talk a bit about focused intention?
Okay, sure. Well, February is Heart Month. Let me talk a little bit about Heart Month. All right. Okay. All right, so February is Heart Month, and we should pay more attention to this amazing organ that's given to us by the Creator so He can monitor our state of being. Okay, that vibration, that frequency that's there, it might take a long time maybe for Him to get that and receive that, but He does, okay? So this is how the Creator communicates with us. He listens to your heart. Okay? So we have to listen to our heart more. All right? And it's located in the middle of your chest. Let's pay attention to our hearts. Let's all put our right hand on our heart, and, like, you know, you're not gonna always feel it so strongly. And one of the exercises you can do to get your heartbeat stronger is you take those deep breaths, okay? In your nose and out your mouth. It's going to take at least 3 of those nice deep breaths in and out before your heart starts feeling stronger and you can start really feeling it, okay? So this is what I want you to think about. Located in the middle of your chest is your heart. It is the center of intelligence, and it is a reflection of your emotional state. Your heart sends more signals to your brain than vice versa. And when you place attention to your heartbeat synchronizes to the electrical signals of your brain. Your heart has its own nervous system that is independent of your brain, but it is connected to every system and every cell in your body. And when you were conceived, you were a cell that beated, and every other part of your body was formed from this heart cell. You will nurture gentle attention to your heart and enlighten it from heaviness and grief and endow it with healing and health to be filled with heartfelt gratitude. The goal of maintaining heart-brain coherence is to tune our organ to the proper frequency, creating a harmony that allows for optimal functioning. This frequency is scientifically proven that the body activates enzymes that work to delay aging, improve cognitive function, boost your immune system, and produce a hormone precursor. The heart network is so sensitive that our heart rhythm becomes highly ordered when we experience positive emotion, love, and joy. And on the contrary, when negative emotions and psychological activity cause erratic and jerky heart functions, leading to inefficiency, lack of energy, and poor reasoning. Okay? So there are some exercises called focused intentions where we might have a problem that we need to solve, or there's something bothering us. And sometimes what we have to do is we really just have to feel, what is the feeling? Where is the feeling? It's not always in your heart, you know, sometimes it's in your stomach, okay? And we have to recognize that feeling, okay? Before we move on, right? So once we recognize that feeling, we have to recognize where we learned that feeling, okay? And when we're young, we are nothing but feelings. However, there's sometimes we get cut off from them and we make decisions to not feel, okay? Because we get hurt by things, something happens, and we cut ourselves off from the feelings, okay? So what focus intention does is it gets down to the root problem about where you first experienced that feeling, okay? And we work through that because it will help you, your big person will help that little person heal. Because a little person in you sometimes will keep carrying on through your life that experience, and you'll keep being triggered by it all the time, okay? Until you work through it. And sometimes we have to go back and learn where we learned that feeling, okay? And once part of the healing experience is when you work through that, you learn something about yourself, you learn something about the people around you, and you learn something about the world. Something changes in your perception from what you believed before, when you were a child, to what you believe now. So there's this connection where in the present you're going to heal your future generations from carrying on generational trauma, and you're also healing your ancestors who couldn't do that work. Okay? So you're connecting the past and the future. Okay? That's the work that you're doing when you're doing that, okay? How's that? So I really like the exercise what you were doing this morning, what you started out with. Yeah.
In the chat said, I love owls, even though I know some of our people try to avoid looking at them.
Okay. Well, I'm my dad's owl clan. And so, you know, it was like, yeah, bring me that superstition. I've heard a lot of things. I mean, Mother Nature is beautiful. I don't think that we really should, you know, put any, you know, negative or positive statements on anything, you know, really. But when you research the animal, like, you know, a snake came up one time and I had to go and research a snake. It's like, oh, you know, like there's all these negative things associated with the snake. But honestly, when you look at how interesting they are and what they do, it's really like a different type of appreciation for sure. And I think that around midwifery, the owl meant, if you heard the hoot of an owl, it meant an easy delivery, you know. So there's positive superstitions, there's negative superstitions, but honestly, like, it's really about appreciating, I think, you know, nature itself. Yeah.
Said, I just found out I'm Bear Clan. Can you speak on what the bear teaches us?
Yes. The bear is a very respected medicine totem because of the way that their system can slow down in the wintertime and get them through hibernation. Their kidneys slow down. They do not ever defecate. or urinate in that whole time that they're in hibernation, but they give birth while they're sleeping. So it's that control. There's a control. It's a very powerful medicine. I don't know a lot of people who work with the bear anymore, like with their body parts and stuff like that, but they're supposed to be like powerful medicine in their body parts just because of the way their metabolism works. Yeah. Is there anything else? Maybe she can tell us something about what she's learned since she's found out she's Bear Clan. Okay, you know what? The thing is once you find out one animal totem, it may lead you to the other ones because they're going to be associated in some way with the bear. Because when you're researching the bear, you're going to also learn what does it eat, right? And what other, maybe what it's compatible with, because sometimes animals will, flock with other animals, when it comes to like food and stuff. But yeah, you're going to learn like other things about other totems in your life will show up when you start doing your research, for sure. Same with the plants. What the bear eats, okay? A lot of berry medicine, bear root. Those possibly could be some of the medicines that you'll be working with. So, the interest is there, right? It's all about your intention. You learn something, you can't unlearn it. You can ignore it, but you can't unlearn it, okay?
Do we have any other questions?
Well, we all have to walk the walk first, right? And so my first thing I believe is that whatever it is that, I'm teaching or whatever it is that I want other people to experience, that I go through it first, okay? So that's one of the things because, obviously, you'll connect better with your clients, making sure that you're on top of your practice by practicing it yourself. How's that sound?
How?
Well, every day, you have to take that time. It sets that intention. I know that sometimes I try to do it before I go to bed. That's the time I know I can take that few minutes to just before I go to sleep. Because your mind does take some time to settle down. So why not take that time, to reflect on, how your day went, just to be thankful, for your day, even though you may have had some, challenges in the day, right? You still made it through, be thankful. There may be some people that you thought about in your day. So it's really take that time for yourself and to have that relationship with the Creator, okay? That talk, it gets to be a practice that, you'll go from maybe just reflecting at night to being able to do it in the morning as well, to maybe, getting it in all day long throughout your day, okay? So it's always practice, 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 okay? Set that intention for yourself. We always, mean well for other people, but sometimes we don't take that time for ourselves to make sure that, we're in a good place before we try to do that for other people. We have to do for ourselves. What does she say?
So focused intentions for emotional wellness. You just have to ask, and the universe, and it's not always going to come from other people. So that time that you take by yourself, where you're trusting the Creator to help you through things, that's more sincere, I think, than expecting other people to do it. So He's going to take care of your needs, whether they're emotional, physical, right?
And we're, you know what, we all have emotions, and so we all have mental illness, just to different degrees at different times, every one of us. Okay, so we all have to work on our mental illness, because we all, you know, we all have something happening at different times. It's different degrees. Okay?
Does anybody else have any questions in the chat? Okay. We can finish up then. Thank you, Cecile.
Okay.
Oh, I spoke to Grandmother Moon the other day to hear my prayers and asked for good things.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, we're not just asking for things. We setting an intention doesn't mean we're asking for things. It's an expectation that we're living our full potential. Right? It's just an expectation that whatever we're doing in the day and on our job, with our families, with our partners, that we're just doing it to our full potential. It's as simple as that, you know?